Yeah.
we're all operating at a 9-year-old level, which is really interesting. My son is 9 years old, so I really get to see the world through his eyes, and I get to see how we are really like people play their lives that way. It's, you know, all the complaining and all the whining and why is it this way and why is it that way and 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 COVID and now I have to deal with this and that and that, you know, and it's like we are 9-year-olds. Which gives me hope that in the next 10 years we'll be 20 years old, and in the next 10 years after that we'll be 30, and by that point in time, and you can already see this happening on the planet, car companies are committed to electric cars by then. People are starting to realize that we have been damaging the earth in a way that we've been defacing and damaging the way we shouldn't, you know, so that we can be regenerative. We're starting to wake up to certain things, you know, being like Black Lives Matter and making sure that people are more equal. So there is this now new energy coming in that's helping people to really, you know, see where we are and then move through it. So I love that you acknowledge that 5 to 10-year-old level for most people, because I'm totally in agreement with that. And we're starting to see each other as more equal than competitively. So those are my points on that. I really love what you did with that.
And that's the development of social capital too, Jamie, is being able to create relationships with mutuality, reciprocity, and really being able to tune into each other's gifts. That is important. Equal partnership is very important to me.
Yep. Yeah. And you also said power is addictive. People make destructive decisions. That's true. That's really true, is when people want the power in their lives. And I've done it. I've done it on many occasions. I can acknowledge that if we make destructive decisions, we ruin relationships because that power of, you know, having that control in our lives and not surrendering to it is addictive. Okay, there's a picture, I have a note here in your presentation of the democracy, the deep democracy. If there's no relationship, there is nothing. You wrote that. I think you need a picture or some depiction of that.
Okay.
There was something not right there.
Okay.
And it was off for me. And I wanted to give more depth to the presentation. So I think that needs to there's more that needs to be given in terms of aesthetics that will help keep people engaged and have them be able to see the picture of that the relationships and the fellowship really matter. And something's not right. Absolutely. So I wrote that there.
Okay.
And then I go into fellowship, relationship. We interrupt the cultural divisiveness for sure. From judgment to curiosity. I love that because it's all about what you don't know, and coming from that space. More listening and learning, spending time with others who value reciprocity. Perfect. Great work there. Interrupt competitive conditioning, time bank brokering. There are no throwaway people.
That's from Edgar Kahn. That's time bank. Yes.
Okay. Yes, I love that. And I want to say this too about it. I used to get criticized on my team. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. I used to say everyone must pop. And what I meant by that was that everyone must have in our course an experience of enlightenment or an experience of an aha moment, as Oprah would say, right? I really wanted that for people. I was so committed to that, to my own detriment. I was committed to that, which is not good. But, you know, because you shouldn't attach your own, you know, sacrifice to somebody else's betterment. That's not, my betterment creates your betterment, right? It works like that. It doesn't work the other way. And a lot of people have that backwards or mixed up. So I would say, you know, for that, there are no throwaway people. I wholeheartedly believe that. I wholeheartedly believe the team used to get on me about, like they said, people don't have to pop, Jamie. They'll have their own experience, which I also agree. People need to own it. They need to have their own experience. I can't make you. It's like the old adage of bringing a horse to water. You can't expect them to drink, right? You can bring them there. You can't expect them to drink, and you can even put them in the water, and they will drown in the water before they drink it.
Yeah,
Some of them.
He said, "I cannot teach you. I can only help you discover yourself." Yeah.
Right, exactly. And so therefore, as we're having this conversation, I do feel like there are people who will not be part of this conversation. Several of them are in my biological family who will not be part of this conversation, but they will be, they're not throwaway people. They are just part of a different system. Like you said, we are in an end world. They're not thrown away. They are just in a different place than we are.
Exactly.
So we're playing.
I think bridging the gaps
games.
too is just honoring that, accepting that.
Yes, accepting them for where they are, right? Accept them and acknowledge this is who they are, and so then this is where they are. So, and it doesn't mean that can't change, but if it's not changing now and it hasn't changed for years, then just leave it be. Leave it be. Yeah. Focus your energy somewhere else. Focus your energy internal. Right. Exactly.
And I think it helps in bridging those gaps. In someone like you and someone like me, we've done a lot of intense work around this. And there's always that temptation to think that we're in a higher place. And that's, that's something that,
that's the power. The power is addictive, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's all uniqueness. It's all uniqueness, and building bridges and honoring that diversity and uniqueness is something that I'd like to hold, with reverence. So.
Me too. Very much so. I love that you said everyone has a piece to contribute. I love that. Yeah, I love also that you say we're not changing the world overnight. We're changing it 1 hour at a time.
Oh, did I say
that? You did.
Cool.
I do think that's also. I want you to write that down as a marketing, a type of marketing that we could help people understand. That this really is happening 1 hour at a time, and it's very cool. And that 1 hour, if they watch the presentation, becomes thousands upon thousands of hours. If we're giving this hour now, who knows how many hours we're going to receive from this, from people watching us. So it's just really, when you look at it like that, from that infinity flow standpoint, it is, the possibilities are endless. So. Okay. Oh, for some reason, here it is. I wrote a note. Democrats and Republicans agree behind closed doors. You said this. I thought this was such a good point, because it's like, yes, the power is addictive. They're in it. They're agreeing behind closed doors to have this, to come from these places so that they can keep that system in place. Yeah. And it's orchestrated, as you said. And and to acknowledge that is really important.
One thing I'll interject here too is if anyone really wants to do a deep dive and start to really explore that essence of it, about how how things really are kind of like a show, like a production, and that they're orchestrated behind the scenes. Watch it. It's a very good series on Netflix called The Family. And it talks about.
Oh, yes. Yes. Watch that one for sure. Yeah, I've seen that one, and it's true. All right. Yes, they do agree behind closed doors, and only the very few, and very few get to know what's really happening. So yeah, Netflix did a great job of covering that one. Mike, they've also done what is it, The Social Dilemma, and what was the other one that you watched? The Great Hack. Yeah, both of those. We're giving a lot of resources in this particular video, but I like that we're doing that. We're acknowledging, the other works that we're giving them hours in a sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I wrote a note. You said understanding our own emotional addictions takes courage.
Addictions, yeah.
Life is in danger. Open space up for truth. Protect what we love, not looking to destroy anyone. Transcend. There's gold in the mistakes.
Yeah.
So we're acknowledging where we're coming from that hasn't worked in the past, and we're looking at what is the gold from the mistakes that we can move forward from. Time is tangible and measurable asset, not outside of us. So like, and you gave examples like different industries like oil and technology and other areas. I think that was a beautiful, I'm giving you a lot of, I didn't realize how much I absolutely loved this at the time that I was.
One thing I'll interject again, another great series on Netflix to really kind of understand the depth of how the extractive economy works like that. There's a series called Dirty Money, which is
I haven't seen that one. I'm going to write that one down. Okay. Dirty Money.
Yeah. Start with the episode about HSBC, the bank, the HSBC bank.
Oh, I used to have accounts there. When I was living in New York, I had accounts there. Okay, great. I will definitely do that. So yes, I wanted to, so we're shifting an economic paradigm for people that are watching. We've got this virtual services time bank, VSTB, right? And you can sign up and apply at the karmicmargincall.com. That is something that needs to be highlighted at the beginning, the middle, and the end of the presentation. So from a marketing standpoint, people need to know how they can access the information consistently. I know it sounds a bit car salesman-y at times. It can be that way when you're saying, and don't forget,
well,
this is the information.
Yeah, when it's first introduced. When it's first introduced, the seed is planted. The second time, it starts to grow a little bit, and the third time, it's there, it's mastered. I think that's great advice. Great advice.
Yeah, I mean, and it works. That's the reason people do it, right? It works. So we're interrupting the extractive economy, reversing market mechanics. Are you ready to grow up? Love that question. Playing someone else's game. We need to be authentic. So we need to authentically acknowledge we're in another game that we were born into. We are accepting that game because that is the game. That is the game that we're playing. And we are interrupting that with reverse market mechanics, creating our own regenerative economy. So that is who we are. That is what we're doing. So be really clear. And Mike, do you have mission, vision, values around all of this yet? Do you have? Okay, so do you want to share
values,
that, or
mission and vision? Yes, values. I think that's a core. That's a core fellowship discussion, I think. Okay,
let's write that down. Okay. Yeah, and I think we can do a similar exercise that that internal exercise to get people there. I think we did do something like that, didn't we? I did do something like that with you guys. Yes, I did. And you should have the words. You should have those values.
Well, but you did that with Phoenixville Time Bank. I don't think we actually did that with the Karmic Margin Call Project core fellowship. Yeah. Not that specific. I know the one that you're specifically talking about. I don't think we did that.
Okay. All right. We'll talk about it after this. Okay, great. All right. The market share is part of our debt. It's really in your face. You said these things. The volume becomes mutable based on the amount of time everyone is putting into the system. And you explain this. You explain this actually in a really, really good way. The thing I think that you missed, and I want to be like, this is contributing, becoming an owner of the bank, investing in yourself, all of that, revenue sharing is optional, all of that really explained very well. I think there are more simplistic ways that we could explain it, because you're coming from this financial background. Exactly. I understand it because I've recently done a lot of work into following Susie Orman, handling my own finances. So I get it. But I don't think a lot of millennial mindset will get it. So we need to make sure that we're speaking into their listening. Yeah. So we should probably sit down at some point and make it a little bit more simplistic. I think you did an excellent job moving through it. I want to see if we can get it to a place where it's more layman, even more layman.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be wonderful. Yeah.
Okay. So let's make a note of that. And then, okay, I think, and this is where it's going to create some work for you.
Sure.
So, okay. All right. So I think you talk about the 68 trillion hours per year. And you also talk about, you go into 7.8 billion people, you go into 8,760 hours per year per person, which I think is really beautiful that you do that, because you make it like really tangible for people to understand. Average life expectancy, 72 years. I also want you to go into, and I want you to put this in a ledger so that people can really see it. Accounting for age, kids, sleep, fun, all the other things that life brings to us that may or may not, let's be really clear, because fun and kids and all that may or may not be adding time hours as we're involved in those things, even sleep. You and I are gonna...
It's funny you mentioned that. One of the things I'm considering is dream workshops.
Right. Yeah, lucid dreaming. Absolutely. I know good people in that area that we can call on, that connected to Mike Dooley. There's a woman named Claire, Dr. Claire. Oh gosh, do I have her name? It's upstairs in my dream notebook. She's wonderful. So yeah, absolutely. I think there's the wait list too for the lucid dreaming class that I just did. So yes, absolutely. We could totally make time hours, bank time hours in our sleep. We could make bank. And that's what I was going to say is that, you know, even as we are having this conversation, as people watch this, they earn the hours, they give us the hours while we're sleeping. So really that is an accumulation of wealth and abundance as we are going about our daily lives, which I think people hopefully will start to realize that is what this is about, is having that abundance in our daily lives and having it all be connected. So what I want you to do, though, is I do want you to really realistically show from the extractive economy model how much time we've lost, right? And then show also how much time we gain from all these other things, but also show that it's not going to be what's the number that you say is the loss? What's the losses that you have it here? Hold on.
Oh yeah, about
$277 trillion.
Yeah, and and even that is going to be more now. And one thing that's very auspicious to me, when you try to search for this, when you try to use search engines, when you try to find what is that number, it's very elusive. It's very elusive to find that. It's, because of some of the stimuluses that we're receiving because of COVID as well. So yeah.
Yeah. So what I think would be useful for the people watching and understanding the concepts, I think, is for you to show them what you know in terms of the breakdown of what really that number what that number is. Because I know you say, oh, well, yeah, you have to account for this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. But it's not going to be 277 trillion, but it's going to be, maybe it's going to be 1 trillion or 2 trillion. But still, when you're talking about $2 trillion, right, across the world of loss because of a extractive economy, then you are still talking about a huge number. 277 is a huge number, but it's not, I don't think it's accurate. And that's my point.
Okay.
So I want there to be an authenticity and an accuracy to this that's in integrity, so people can actually see that we've done our homework, that we know from
why do you think that's not accurate?
Well, because you said there's we need to account for, you're not always working, you're not always on, there's times when you're sleeping, you're with your family, you're this, you're that, the other.
Got it.
And so from an extractive place, there's losses.
Okay. Right. Okay.
So if you can look at that.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, if you could look at that, then you can help people understand and show them that you really do have the financial knowledge and you can show them that, you know, like accounting for all of these things, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
I've done the homework, and this is the ballpark number that I feel we're losing from the extractive economy.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Based on, but it's based on more than just adding up of numbers. It's based on also subtracting, because you have to look at the positive and the negative. You have to look at that.
Okay, gotcha.
I want you to show your work.
Yeah, I'm starting to reframe in my mind how to present it differently. Yes.
Yeah, and I would love to go through that with you, because I think that this is a very valuable, you know, and I think it's not even the barriers to deep democracy, it's a barrier to deep connection, and a barrier to deep love and respect. And so maybe there's a way we can reword things so that people can start to come on board with these concepts and start to realize that we know of another way, guys. We have answers. We have answers. Like, you've been searching for answers. We have them. We are here, and we've got you. So we need to show our work.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
It is 9:31. So that it has been like an hour and at least 15 from the video standpoint, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I am going to have a hard stop in about 5 minutes or so.
Well, why don't we end the recording here, and then we'll we'll check out with each other. But I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much, Jamie. This was powerful. This conversation was so powerful. You know, the flow of it was just amazing, and I'm looking forward to sharing it. So yeah, I'll take your advice right now, and
I am too. I have a list of people in my head that I'm like, I'm gonna forward this when we're done, like to share this. Please watch this. Yeah. So
I do want to mention, and I'm going to take your advice right now, even though we didn't get to it in the middle, we got to it at the beginning. I will say that if you are interested in joining the Karmic Margin Call Project, please go to karmicmargincall.com. Click here for an application. Again, if you spent the last hour and 20 minutes with us, you can, if you're looking to earn hours, consider this, a training. So you can put that down as hours that you provided, as part of your training into understanding the time bank, the Karmic Margin Call Project, and what we're doing. If you're looking to give hours as well, then you can give that to Jamie Parker. She does have an account at the Karmic Margin Call Project. And what that does is that also helps her to earn, a compounded return from our emerging business structure. And I also want to say that, if you claim this as hours that you've provided, you're doing the same for yourself as well. So Jamie, thank you very much for this conversation.
Yes, I'll also say, if you're interested in marketing services similar to the ones that I've given Mike, my company is New Growth Marketing LLC. That is my Gmail. So go forth and do New Growth Marketing LLC at gmail.com, and you will get me, and we can have a conversation about what you need and what you're looking for.
Excellent. Thank you so much for saying that. All right.
Yes, of course.
Stop the recording.